they're going to be a tough matchup for us because of their size. They've got two things. They've got size and they've got little quick guards. And we're kind of in the middle. We don't have great size and we don't have great quickness. We're in the middle. So it's going to be a really interesting matchup.
Good afternoon, everybody. That's Jay Wright, the head coach at Villanova on SiriusXM last night. Thanks for the audio there. And he's right. It is going to be an interesting matchup, and we're ready to talk about it here on Afternoon Live, part of the Maize and Blue Review. Weekdays at 1 o'clock. We're here every day, part of Rivals.com, and it's great to have CJ Baird with us here, a guy who is no stranger to Sweet 16s, and here they are again in their fifth Sweet 16, CJ.
Yeah, I mean, it's looking back on it now, the success the program's had in the last few years is really, really, really special. And to come out this time of year and after kind of an up and down season for the whole year and still make the Sweet 16, it really speaks to what Michigan has built, what Coach Howard has built, and how these guys respond. And I mean, I'm really looking forward to this matchup tonight. Clearly, Jay Wright's got a lot of respect for Michigan. I know Michigan's got a lot of respect for Villanova, so it'll be a really good one.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much you can take the numbers all year long. Yeah, you look at the adjusted offense, defense, all these different things. I think for Michigan side, you can take it and throw it out the window. If they had played defense or had played the way they had the majority of the year, they wouldn't be sitting here today. What they really have got going for them is they've had some guys stepping up, in particular at the point guard position in the first round with Frankie Collins, and then to actually get in the tournament. That last Sunday against Ohio State, Devontae Jones had to play his best game in the Maize and Blue, and he did that. It looks like both guys are going to be available for him tonight.
Yeah, it's good to like Jay Wright had that comment too. They got some really quick guards, and Frankie Collins has really stepped up and shown that quickness on the floor. I mean, just the explosiveness that he brings from the offensive position, and also defensively, he really brings a lot of pressure. And I think that'll be good, at least defensively, coming off the bench. They need some fresh bodies to throw at Colin Gillespie. I mean, Colin Gillespie plays with a really solid pace at Villanova. He plays slower, but he plays incredibly smart, and he's also pretty strong at his size too. So I think mixing up the defense on him will be great. I think having Frankie guard him, Devontae, Eli Brooks, we'll see who starts on him tonight. But I really do think that the Michigan guards have stepped up when they needed to. And tonight's going to be the quintessential defensive test against one of the best guards in the country.
Yeah, that matchup. What would you do if you were in there and they were talking about how to guard Gillespie? You know, he's 6'3". They can throw a 3-guard attack out there that really goes 6'4", 6'5". They go up to 6'7" that way. It's not the same way on the front line, but Eli Brooks is probably their best backcourt defender. Frankie. You put it. Frankie's fast, and he got that one call against him in the paint against Tennessee, and I was like, he's just sliding, moving his feet. Looks pretty good, but he looks like he might be an all right defender as well.
Yeah, and I think that the difference is like what I said earlier. You get to kind of mix up the looks that Gillespie gets. I think Eli is going to have to be the post presence on Gillespie, because what he does really well is he brings the ball up the court slowly, and then he'll dribble it down into the post. So all of Villanova's guards play from the post, and they all play really smart. So when Gillespie takes his time and gets into the post, that's where Eli Brooks is at his best. He just plays solid. He's not going to take a crazy chance. He's not going to try to steal it. He's not going to try to foul Gillespie when he's trying to make that move. He's just going to be solid in the post. On the other hand, when Gillespie uses ball screens a lot at the top of the key, this is where he gets most of his three-point shots, is on the ball screen. That's where Frankie will be more effective. Making him speed up a little bit coming off of the screen will force Gillespie into a different sort of rhythm. I think it's all about Michigan's got to determine the pace at the guard position tonight, really speed them up, and that'll give them the whole advantage, because Villanova plays pretty slow basketball.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. I had one more cut from Jay Wright on SiriusXM, and he talked about, I think people, when they think about Michigan and certainly Hunter Dickinson and then a 6'11" Moussa Diabate, I think about them being like Villanova and being in a half-court set. And Jay Wright was not necessarily agreeing with that. Here's what he had to say about Michigan's offense.
They play really fast early in the clock, and the perimeter guys get out, and then they let Dickinson and Diabate, their two bigs, kind of like roll into the play. And then if they don't score early in the clock, then they go through those two. And then you got to deal with their high-low and their inside-out game. So they've got two different ways to beat you, and that's going to be the challenge for us.
Well, there it is, and so I think what Jay Wright had to say there, Michigan, they'll look for some fast break opportunities, and it's easy then to set it up and get into really their bread and butter and what they want to do, and that's hammer it down low.
Yeah, and I have a lot of respect for Jay Wright, and he clearly knows what he's talking about. Obviously, a two-time national champ and beating us too. I think the guy, he really understands what Michigan's offense is all about. And like he said, it's a lot of early clock speed, and that's something that Michigan has done well. And a lot of sets that are run at Michigan are predicated on that early clock speed, trying to get something really easy. It's a lot about catching the other team off guard. And that's something tonight that I think his quote is really telling, that Villanova will not be surprised by that. I think Michigan comes in, they got Tennessee on a few easy baskets. They got Colorado State in a few easy baskets, just getting to the rim. And then, like he said, once the play settles down or nothing's going around, then it's just going into Hunter Dickinson. And Hunter Dickinson can just score at will in the paint. And I think that's what's been really good for Michigan in this postseason run. I mean, if that first shot isn't there, if the other team is ready for a quick attack, then they can pull it back, slow it down, play at their pace, get Dickinson the ball where he's at his best in the post.
I had some notes put up here that I wanted to run by you. You mentioned Dickinson down there in the post, and Dickinson's 7'1", Diabate's 6'11", and when you look, 6'8" and 6'7", the guys are big, they're wide bodies, they're strong. The guys that'll be guarding Michigan's front line, but if you're looking for Michigan's advantage, it is down low, and if Michigan can stay aggressive and draw some fouls on the two main players there in the post for Villanova, to me this is the game here. It's not the referees, it's who's going to be the aggressor and who's going to get that other team and have them go to the bench quicker. In Villanova, I haven't been able to say this all year, I think Michigan has more depth here than Villanova.
Which is crazy to talk about too. I mean, Villanova plays 6 guys primarily. They go through Gillespie, Justin Moore, Eric, I think it's Dixon, Samuels, Daniels, and Slater. They're 6 guys. Those guys play consistent minutes all of the time, and they actually run a lot of small lineups. So like you said, getting Dickinson the ball in the post, getting Diabate the ball in the post, their physicality against a really small Villanova team is something that's going to be really tough for them to guard. And I think you said earlier, it's about who's going to establish that early on. And I think Michigan has been doing a really good job of doing that early in games. And that's where the Big Ten season really helps. Diabate as a freshman, a lot of freshmen don't get to see that physicality prior to Big Ten conference. But once they've gone through it, they know what it takes to win an NCAA tournament. If they can bring that physicality without fouling on offense and defense, that's going to deter a lot of inside attacks that Villanova may take. And then on the defensive end, I mean, guys like Samuels, Dixon, they won't be able to guard Hunter Dickinson in the post. They're either going to have to double team him or they're going to have to front him. When I say front, they're going to have to basically just stand in front of him and make them throw the ball over the top and try to get some sort of steal there. I mean, those are basically their 2 options. And I'm really curious to see how they guard it, because Coach Howard does a really good job of teaching bigs how to get position based on where the defender is guarding you. And I think Michigan will be prepared for both of those scenarios tonight, knowing how well they prepare for these games.
I'm really interested in that too. And if Michigan can get Samuels and get those guys into foul trouble, then when Villanova has the ball, we know that Michigan, you look at some of those advanced stats all year long, Michigan having a hard time guarding the pick and roll. Meanwhile, Villanova is pretty good, in the pick and roll. It's nice when you have a guy like Gillespie who can really shoot it. Then those versatile bigs that they have, that seems like the game inside the game. When Michigan's on offense, can they make Villanova pay down low? And when the Cats have it, can they get Michigan in the pick and roll and get those mismatches that they want?
And I think it's 100% on the nose. And Villanova, I actually went back and watched. So Villanova played Creighton in the Big East Championship this year, and Creighton also has a 7'1" big man named Ryan Kalkbrenner. And I was really interested to see how Villanova played against a guy at that size, because in the NCAA tournament they haven't seen the height that Michigan has just yet. So going back to that game, Gillespie and Villanova, they had this, like, Jermaine Samuel sets a lot of ball screens at the top of the key, and they're basically just trying to bait the Creighton big man into stepping up or just standing back. And Michigan this year, their general defense is where Hunter's kind of standing away from the ball screen. They're trying to get somebody to drive to him. And what Gillespie does well is at the top of the key, he doesn't go right into the big man, because he's 7'2", is 6'3" versus 7'2", he's not going to score there. He does a great job of coming off screens and shooting the pull-up shot. And that's what Hunter needs to be on his toes for tonight. I think he needs to be more engaged in the ball screen. The guy that's guarding Gillespie in particular needs to make sure they're on his hip the whole time, not letting him get anything easy, because that's where he makes his money, is shooting the three and getting on the post. And I think Michigan really needs to key in on those two tonight.
If the Blue Jays still had their big man in the tournament, he got hurt there with a knee injury, they might still be playing.
Yeah.
If you look, Villanova, they're on this great stretch all season long of shooting free throws, one of the best percentages all time in NCAA history. And, that's noteworthy. But, Michigan, there's been a few games. I remember back when they went to Iowa, they might have been perfect from the line. And I just looked and I was like, Michigan's been shooting great from the stripe. I just went over the last 4 games last night. Michigan's shooting 88% from the stripe in the last 4 games. So being able to get to the stripe, both of these teams, they want to do it. You can say, be aggressive and make those officials blow the whistle. But, both of these teams, there's some teams that don't want to get to the line. Michigan wants to get to the line.
Mm-hmm. It's just an easy way to score. And in games that are slowed down, or in games when your offense needs a little bit of a jump, it's just easy going to the line and scoring. I think that's what they did against Colorado State. They really did a good job of getting to the free throw line and making baskets when they needed to in that big comeback. And slowing and kind of just seeing the ball go through the net it's very cliche to say, but it's so big in the mindset of a player. Just seeing the ball go through. It's like, oh yeah, I can hit a jump shot now. I can go get a couple more layups. It's all about building that confidence. And I think what's different about the NCAA tournament than, say, regular season conference play is the refs are definitely going to call a lot more. And that's the advantage of the Big Ten, I think, offensively, because the Big Ten physicality is so well known. There's so much complaining about what the refs let go and what they don't. So I think in the NCAA tournament, the refs are willing to call a lot more touch fouls, a lot more pushing. And that's where people like other teams are now afraid to be pushing around Hunter Dickinson, because they're going to get called for a foul. And that's why he's getting these easy shots. And I think Villanova is going to be forced into a position to say, look, tonight, are we going to let just Hunter Dickinson score every time? Or are we going to try to be physical back and try to push him around and see how the refs call the game? I mean, it's definitely a conundrum that they're put in. And it's kind of weird to say that when it's a 2 versus 11 matchup, that Villanova actually has got probably a lot more to think about on the defensive end than they would have liked.
I love the psychology of a shooter, and when if it's going good, just let it, keep flying. Or, hey, sometimes maybe you want to take it to the rack and get, like you mentioned, at the free throw line and get that one going. That'll be a conversation for another time in the offseason. I've got a video that I want you to comment on. First, I want to thank Victor's Valiant, who gave us our top 2 prizes for the TMBR Survivor Pool, which is still going on tonight on the Wolverine Den. So thanks for the Michigan versus everybody gear from the boys there at the Valiant Management. Should say men and women. I'm not exactly sure what front office there looks like, but they're doing a great job. And thanks to Valiant there, Valiant Michigan specifically, for helping us out. So I'm going to just throw this up here. You might be familiar with this set here. And I just throw up there and put it on the still screen. You know what you're looking at right there, CJ.
Oh, man. That was 4 years ago, a couple days ago. And, man, that was obviously me at the top of the key there. And I got a shot in the Sweet 16 against Texas A&M. I mean, that's the kind of stage it brings it to. And every time I look at this, I see myself and I immediately look at the bench. And you look at the top there, everybody's standing, everybody's watching. They were all telling me to go and shoot it. And I think it's so cool about being at Michigan and looking back at this now is guys that are like on the bench right now, like Jace Howard, Ian Burns, Jaron Faulds, Adrian Nunez, Brandon Johns, like all those guys that are not starting the game, they're always supporting and they're always engaged. And it doesn't matter who's on the floor. It doesn't matter who's off the floor. It really, all that matters is we succeed as a team and we succeed as one. And I think just outside of me making the shot, that's the first thing that I think of in this moment. And that was quite a special time for me.
Well, when I slow it down, just have the still picture here. What strikes me is you're almost getting ready to jet. You're at you're beyond the hash. So this is what you'd call Dame territory or Steph Curry type, all-star game type territory. I don't know if you sneak up a little bit and shoot it, but you're really downtown. I'm going to let it roll here, and we'll see.
He was after trying to put up a 3-0. Look at his reaction. His reaction tells it all. He will remember that shot. Oh my goodness. And here's Chris Collins.
See if we can let it run through again. Get the nice clean video here. Oh, you got the rebound too.
Yep.
Down it.
Yep. I don't even remember grabbing this rebound.
You're sky high. You're sky high. So you weren't thinking like, hey, I gotta go get another one.
Oh no, I was like, I made the shot and I saw it go in, and I was like, I just forgot everything that happened right after that. I was like, saw it go in, that was it. I don't remember the rest, but quite an amazing moment, man. And I'll tell you, I mean, the guys that. And I think it's been very telling in this tournament, like guys like Devontae Jones and guys like all the freshmen, Kobe Buffkin, Frankie Collins, guys that haven't played in the NCAA tournament before, they really appreciate what's going on. And I think that was that moment that I had. I've always kind of understood what March Madness was all about, but you don't really appreciate what's going on until you're on the floor. And it's really cool seeing the Michigan guys this year say that. Like Devontae Jones has been constantly talking about wanting to be out there at this time of year, wanting to be out there and playing in these big moments. And that's what it's all about. It's about the exposure. It's about showing the country what Michigan's all about. And I think they're doing a great job doing it this year. And I'm really proud of them. And I was really, really proud to say that I was a 4-year player on this team to be part of a program this special.
Was Reggie Miller right?
Absolutely. I haven't forgotten it all day. And actually, a couple days ago, a few people texted me of showing me that were like, yeah, I mean, this was 4 years ago. And I still have the video from my reaction from when they were watching it on TV. It was really cool to kind of go back and talk to people about that. It's kind of like a where were you moment when this happened. And it was cool going back with it through my friends. So it was a special, special day.
It's pretty cool for you too, because you overlap from the great John Beilein now to the great Juwan Howard, which is a very difficult thing to do. And you just think about Juwan Howard to begin with, when he didn't have the head coaching experience, and then you say you don't want to follow a legend, and John Beilein was a legend, but he has proven it here, and being able to get to the Sweet 16. I wanted to ask you, like, some of my reference points. I go to Hoosiers and Gene Hackman, where they're getting ready. They go in, they're getting to the one point, he's got the tape measure. I don't know if Juwan needs to do that, but he does, he brings in the preacher who goes with the David grabbed the stone and, slung it at the Philistine. Both coaches, is it kind of same old? They don't need any rah-rah speeches. Are they similar? The differences of the two coaches, like before a Sweet 16 tip tonight.
So I think Coach Howard does a good job of being like a unified, like just this one major presence, one major voice. I mean, he's obviously a huge presence at 6'9", but he does a good job telling everybody, like, this is what we need to do collectively. These are the things that we need to look for. And he kind of singularly runs down all the important things. So he's kind of just the main focus at the front there. He's taking everything that he's absorbed from the other coaches, the whole staff, major points, and he'll point to them to talk about some other things here or there. But primarily before the game, he talks about game plan. Then he talks about, it's like big fire up stuff. It's like, this is what we came here to do. This is what you freshmen came here to do. This is what everybody is here right now came here to do. This is our moment now. Let's go and do it. And I think that's something that was really great for last year's tournament. It was like, it was so hard to get energy in the bubble. It's so hard to get energy when there's not fans there. And he does a really good job, even if there are people there, of creating energy in the locker room. And on the flip side, I think Coach Beilein does a really good job of getting everybody involved. I think Coach Beilein, as a head coach, kind of starts off with his own little speech, talks more about game plan, nitpick stuff here or there, talks about stuff we ran in practice. And then he actually went through and let the other coaches come to the front of the room and speak. So each assistant coach would come speak. So we had Coach Luke Yaklich at the time, who's now the head coach at University of Illinois Chicago, would come through. Sadie Washington would come through, and DeAndre Haynes would come through. They'd each talk about different things, or some of them would give fire-up stories. Some of them would talk about things they talked about in practice. But he would kind of give them free reign in that space. And then it would all come together as, like, at the end with Coach Beilein saying, this is what we do. We need to go out there and follow this game plan. And I think it was really cool to see both styles, and it's really influenced the way that I see the game now. I look at things in a very detailed lens that Coach Beilein does, kind of like point by point, but I also understand the importance of being a unifying voice, understanding the importance and the whole gravity of the situation around you, and just appreciating what you have done to get to this point. So I learned from Coach Howard, and I've been trying to combine all that stuff together.
Man, I was ready to slap my hand and say, let's go. Let's get out there. And, it's going to be a great day for Michigan. You get the hockey team in the tournament, and then face-offs 3 o'clock, and then 7:30 tonight. I've got one more thing for you. And I'll put up I get you a little music there. Get you going. This is well, there we go. That's a good one. I've got the schedule, I thought. Here, see if I can get it up there. I have to add it in there. There it is. Take a couple things down here so you can read just the action here tonight. Any of these games you see, they're tipping off. You've got Gonzaga and Arkansas. Do you give the Hogs any chance against the number 1 overall seed?
I do, actually, and I think it all goes back to the way that Memphis played against Gonzaga a couple days ago. I watched that game pretty closely, not because I thought Gonzaga would lose, but I was interested to see how Memphis played them. And Arkansas actually has a lot of up-tempo isolation guards. They play with J.D. Note, Williams, their center's a freak athlete, really great runner on the floor, and that's what Memphis did so well against Gonzaga. I think Arkansas is a better offensive team, better athletes overall, better isolation, where Gonzaga struggles a little bit in one-on-one situations. I think I give them a real shot to beat Gonzaga, but I still think Gonzaga will edge them because of their unstoppable offense.
Yeah, Note there. We'll take note of that. We'll get to Michigan and Villanova in a second. Texas Tech and Duke. Coach K, it could be his last game. Texas Tech was a slight favorite in this game. I looked today; it's a pick'em. So a true toss-up with Nance, Rafferty, and Grant Hill, with the Michigan alum Tracy Wolfson on the sideline for this one. What do you think of that game?
And what a great game that'll be. I just love going out there and seeing the high-level talent that Duke has every time. I mean, obviously, Banchero's at the top of everybody's list. He's one of the top 4 prospects going into the NBA draft. But a guy I like to look out for on Duke in particular is A.J. Griffin. Fantastic shooter, great wing player, and they have really solid defense at center in Mark Williams, who's really improved in his sophomore year jump. I actually still think with all the talent that Duke has, I think Texas Tech plays so well together as a group, and they're a bunch of underdogs. These guys are transfers from all over the place. I can't remember the point guard's name for Texas Tech that is starting tonight, but he is multiple transfers. I think JUCO, D3, D2. He's been all over the place, and now he's starting in the Sweet 16 against Duke. I mean, these guys have been hungry for a top-level matchup, and the Big 12 plays that tough defense. I'm giving Tech the edge here.
Yeah, well, I remember the Red Raiders team from a couple of years ago, the Sweet 16. I want to bring that one up.
Yeah, I remember that too. That's a tough one.
Yes, it was. A tough one is the nightcap. It's a great matchup, Houston and Arizona. Houston is a great defensive team. The things that they did to Kofi Coburn, surrounding him, they've got some guard play. I give them a great chance here against the number 1 seed. Do you agree with that?
I do, actually. And I think, like you said, the defensive identity that Houston has was just on display against Illinois. I mean, they played a masterclass defensive game against Kofi Coburn. And I think there's obvious differences in the games of Arizona and Illinois, but I think the defense still will hold up for Houston. Houston actually, fun fact, they are, according to multiple sources, they are the highest KenPom rated 5 seed of all time. I still believe they are the number 2 team in KenPom. They are ahead of Arizona. So they are rated adjusted spread ahead of Arizona, which is unheard of as a 5 seed. And I'm really interested to see how Arizona responds. I mean, they have Ben Mathurin, Christian Coloco in the center there, and they got some really solid power forwards. I think it's Turbelis, and there's one more I can't remember, but I think Houston has a shot. Arizona's overall talent and versatility is going to make me question how long Houston's defense can hold up. I think the Wildcats still win, but I could see another overtime game. It's going to be a great night of basketball.
Oh, you got Kelvin Sampson over there. Obviously, he knows what he's doing. Ozzy has a question for you. Let me put it up there for you. Ozzy says, if Michigan limits the turnovers and play inside out, can they win? It's a perfect setup for you because I was going to ask you what you thought about the Michigan Villanova game. Thanks, Ozzy. All right, limit the turnovers, play inside out. What do you think?
And that's 100% got to be the game plan against Villanova. I think Villanova, and some people were talking about Hunter's Hunter's quote, he said a couple days, or I think yesterday even, that Villanova kind of plays like Iowa. They play pretty smart, they play solid, but they play at a lot slower pace. So Villanova is going to keep the ball for a long time and keep it at the end, late in the shot clock. So Michigan, if they turn the ball over, Villanova is going to hold the ball on offense for a long time, and that's often deflating as a defensive player. And it's deflating when you go back on offense. Like, I've just been on defense for 30 seconds the whole time. So if they can limit those turnovers and make sure that Villanova can't have the ball for longer in the game, it'll be really easy to get the ball and play inside and out in the post. And inside and out is just the classic way to play with Hunter Dickinson, and the potential of a double team tonight that you may see from Villanova. I'm really interested to see how they play Hunter because he's such a great passer. And if Hunter gets double teamed, he can get Caleb Houston involved. He can get Devontae UI Brooks involved. And that's what's going to be big for the key to their success tonight.
You got to pick. You want Michigan? Should fans want a higher scoring game? Does that benefit Michigan? You think it's going to be a low scoring game? How do you think it's going to play out?
I think it's going to be a higher scoring game. Even though Villanova plays at a slower pace, they make a lot of threes. And we talked about their free throws, their free throw percentage. They're going to make their free throws. It's kind of a given with the experience and stuff that they have there. I think Michigan, to counter that, is going to need to have quick attacks in the initial spurts and then get Hunter Dickinson the ball where he's at his best. It's going to be kind of in the middle. You can't predict shooting and then NCAA tournament. It's all about the defense carrying over to every game. The defense has to be solid. I'm going to say low 70s, high 60s tonight.
I like it. I had 75, 74 in overtime written down here. So how about that? We'll see. I don't know how often I've picked games going to overtime, but I'm doing it tonight. CJ, great job. Enjoy the games tonight. Start it a little bit after 7, take us past midnight, and then we'll do it all over again. And hopefully for Michigan, they'll be doing it all over again on Saturday. Appreciate your time. Have a great day. We'll talk with you again soon.
Of course. Go Blue.
There he is, CJ Baird. Thanks for watching. Enjoy the games tonight. We'll be on TMBR